Okay, Ryan Newman is now with us, and Ryan drives the number 39 U.S. Army Chevrolet for Stewart-Haas Racing. He's 7th in points, and Ryan, certainly having the U.S. Army represent your race team and working with a close relationship with the U.S. Army, particularly on Memorial Day weekend, has to be a special deal for you.
It is, and we've been fortunate here before to win the pole, and we run second here a couple years ago with the U.S. Army on the car, so another opportunity here Memorial Day weekend, and it's always an honor to represent the soldiers. Obviously, there's a lot of fun festivities that are going on pre-race that are military related, so a lot of soldiers that are going to be here from Fort Bragg, and do our best to represent them each and every week, and especially this weekend.
We'll take some questions now. We'll start right here with Mike and then go to Tom.
Mike Embry, Speed.com. Ryan, does the nature of this race, the length, the day-to-night dynamic, make it more or less likely that a team can come up with a situation where, like Kurt did last year, leading whatever it was, 290, 300 laps? Is the nature of the race sort of play into that to allow one team to kind of break away from everybody else, or is it just another week?
I think a big part of that depends on the caution flags. When you get bunched back up, because you can have a bad run on your second fuel run and be one of the slowest cars on the track if you pull the lead out and still stay up front. So a big part of it is the restarts, because the restarts are so chaotic, it seems. But yeah, a team can dominate with or without the temperature change and the track change and everything else, and it can be the guy that leads the most laps may only lead 50 of them. You just never know.
Go ahead, Tom.
Hi, Ryan. Tom Jensen, Speed.com. How much have these cars changed since they've been introduced in 2007, and how much different is what you're running now, even from maybe 6 months or a year ago?
Well, they've changed a lot when it comes to the handling of them. We've done a lot to make them handle a lot better. Kyle Busch's first comments were pretty spot on, even though nobody really wanted to hear it. In saying that, they've gotten safer, and as we have teams, the biggest changes we've made is just working to reduce the weight in the cars and putting the weight in the right spot. And that's been a big help in reference to the tires themselves and getting to use the left side tires a little bit harder instead of the right sides, and having the problems we had like in Indy a few years ago. So just working with them and getting that notebook is a big part of making them consistent and being able to unload and not have guys. 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was, you go out there for first practice and you'd see splitter marks all over the racetrack from guys just clobbering a splitter, and now the guys have a lot better understanding of where we need to be and what the speed's going to be like in a racetrack, and how we work with these race cars. And I think a part of that too has been part of the help as well has been going back to the spoiler, because obviously there's years and years of history of the spoiler and the notes that go along with it.
Go to Jorge and then back over here to Mike. Go ahead.
Jorge Mendoza, FoxSports.com. Ryan, can you talk a little bit about the work your foundation is doing to help out in the animals affected by all the tornadoes and everything going on in this central part of the country?
Yeah, it's our work effort started with most people's in Alabama and the Tuscaloosa area, and we've got a great partnership with our foundation, with the Iams Pet Food Corporation. So they've actually donated a truckload of pet food, and we had, I think, a truckload of pet food that went down there as well. So packed up a semi truck. I did it myself with my big old tractor, and packed up a semi-truck full of pallets and shipped it off down there. So just doing what we can to make a difference. Fortunately, from what I've been told, they're in a good situation where they've had a lot of donations. It's just a matter of getting it distributed down there. So I think a lot of the things that have been sent go to warehouses so that it can be timely distributed, so that there's not an influx of a bunch of dog food that people can't use right away. Well, our foundation is all about animal welfare. We do a lot to help control the overpopulation and the understanding that goes along with that, but at the same time, whatever we can do to help the animals. And when people can't help themselves, they're surely not going to help the animals that they love as well. So, we have to do what we can, and we're blessed with the opportunity to do what we can and make a difference for those people and those animals. Yep.
Let's go over here to Woody, and then we'll go to Mike and then Randy.
Woody came with MRN. Over to your left, Ryan. Heard you talk a good bit about how meaningful this particular weekend is to you, being Memorial Day and all, and the Army sponsorship. I'm just curious if you, when you're not making appearances at bases and things like that, if you kind of continue to hear from soldiers and that type of thing kind of out of the blue and what that might mean to you.
I don't have direct contact with soldiers on a day-to-day basis or even a week-to-week basis. I mean, I talk to Colonel Krotz is one of our heads. He's the motorsports guy. I talk to him randomly via text, but we stay pretty busy doing the things that we do at the race shops on Monday and our meetings and whatnot, and then it's nice to have a couple days to yourself before you get to head back to the racetrack again. But there is a lot of communication, and obviously this weekend more so than others with soldiers at the racetrack and doing meet and greets, and we do. I'd say I do more than most when it comes to visiting places like Walter Reed and the things that we do with the wounded soldiers and trying to make a difference and an impact there because of what I wear across my chest.
Let's go to Mike and then to Randy.
Mike Hembry. Ryan, do you think there should be any kind of NASCAR sanction against a driver who was charged, as Kyle was charged this week?
If you don't have to have a driver's license to compete in the series, then what happens on the street has no effect on what happens on a racetrack, in my opinion. I mean, if that's what you hold a driver's license for. So, if he's charged criminally, then that's a different situation, right? Versus being charged with a driver-related. Maybe that makes sense. I don't know. What?
Let's go over to Randy, and then we'll get to you, Dustin. Go ahead, Randy.
Hey, Ryan. Randy Kovich, Kansas City Star. Over here, Ryan, to your right a little bit.
I'll figure it out.
Okay. Just a follow-up. I got just a follow-up. You talk about Tuscaloosa. How about Joplin, Missouri? Do you know if efforts are being...
Honestly, I don't know if we've done anything or if we're going to do anything. I don't know. I mean, I kind of know what happened in Joplin, and I know it was similar to what happened in Alabama, but I'm not 100% sure if we've, like I said, we've partnered up with IMES, and IMES has been a big part of what we do with our foundation to make that difference, and they're the outlet for our donations with the pet food and everything else. So I'm not saying anything hasn't been done, but it did take us a couple weeks when it came to Alabama to react to that situation.
Okay. Well, I got your attention. Can you just talk about coming to Kansas twice and what that means for your team the first time you go to a track for a second time?
Well, for me, it's good. I'm like anybody else, I guess I could say, in that we don't know exactly how it's going to be. I mean, for me, I think about the racetrack. If the racetrack's going to be super slick because it's a hot, sunny day and it's way hotter than what it was in the fall, those types of things. That's what I think about. To me, in the end, it's just another race, but I want to go there knowing what I need to do to my race car to make it fast and make it capable of winning.
Go to Jim, and then did you have a question, Dustin? Jim and Dustin.
Jim Uttershaw, Observer. Kind of a quick follow-up on Randy's question. Your previous experience at Kansas, would you expect the things that have transpired here to kind of show themselves again at Kansas next week? Is it that similar?
As far as the car and the racetrack?
Yeah.
No, it's totally different. I mean, it's totally different type of racetrack. Much less vertical load there. Track position is even more important there. The seams with the asphalt are sensitive there. So, there's different things that are for sure stand out at Kansas City than here at Charlotte. It used to be a place like Kansas was kind of similar to Vegas or Chicago, and really between our tire situation that we have now in reference to how many different tires we run throughout the year, there's much less similarities between tracks because of the tire differences.
Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Long, Landmark Newspapers. To get back to the point about Kyle, you're talking about the different what makes it different in regards to criminal as opposed to a license? An action is an action. And secondly, I wanted to ask you is, there is a lot of rush on the public's behalf for some kind of judgment, some kind of action upon this. Does it need to go through the courts and wait, or does something need to be happening? Understanding that you could be in a situation like that. Not saying you would, but if something happened, people would be coming down on you.
My point about the license part of it is if you don't have to have a driver's license to compete in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, then no matter what, it's DMV related, in my opinion. So, you know, if he would have clobbered a mailbox at 128, and I mean that's a federal situation. You know, there's different ways of looking at it. Is my point. And you know, if something was to happen to it, it's just a private car incident that has no effect on his eligibility to drive a Sprint Cup car or a Nationwide car. But to me, I mean, it is a very gray area in reference to the police officer and what he did, as to how he got away as clean as he did. I mean, I think that's probably your judgment question. If it was you running 128 and a 45, would he have treated you the same way? I mean, every officer has to answer that question a different way, depending on who he's dealing with.
And like I said, there's a lot of rush to judgment. The team should do this, or NASCAR should do that, and you kind of address the NASCAR issue. As a driver, somebody who could potentially be in a situation like that, is it okay for judgment to be directed, the team do something, that something be done, or does it need to wait through the court processes?
In respect to how the team treats him?
In respect to how, I think you've explained why you don't think NASCAR should do anything in this situation.
I don't think NASCAR can do anything because they don't require a driver's license.
So, there's a lot of, you know, those in the public are saying 128 and 45 zone, something has to be done.
That's just what he clocked him at. He could have been going faster.
That's true. The next thing that people will look at will be the team, or some organization like that, or sponsors. Should they act before it goes through the court process, or is he should be allowed to go through his court process and what's determined there before any kind of discipline takes place?
Just as you said, it's a judgment situation where I don't think that there is a right or wrong answer. In multiple people's eyes, is Joe Gibbs going to react to it the same way that M&M's or Interstate or anybody else does? I don't know. That's not for me to judge. I believe that you know, he made a big mistake. He openly admitted he made a big mistake from what I read, although it sounded like somebody else wrote it, not him. And you know, we're supposed to be professional race car drivers, and by being professional race car drivers, we don't make stupid mistakes like that on the road. That's the way I look at it.
Ryan, thanks a lot. Good luck this weekend driving the 39 U.S. Army Chevrolet.
Thank you.